Hello and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be assembling and painting 4 Tomb Kings of Khemri skeletons. This was one of the first, if not the first, modular plastic kit that Games Workshop produced for their standard troops. The idea behind today's video is to test which primer I will be using to paint my Tomb Kings. You're not going to see a pro paint job here, you're just going to see a get it on the table, acceptable paint job. At least acceptable in my book. And a paint job that anybody can do. You don't need to be a pro painter to paint skeletons. It's at least 20 years since I last built these models. They're just about acceptable in my book. And I don't mean that in a negative sense, I mean that in a number of parts sense. I can't get my head around people's love of multi-part plastic models. Give me one-piece models, give me one-piece metal models all day, every day. Glue it into the base, prime it, paint it and play with it. That's my philosophy. I realise that I'm very much alone in my way of thinking regarding plastic miniatures. But there you have it. That's Generation X for you. We like what we like. And no, I'm not a gatekeeper. I very much liked the look of Age of Sigmar when it first came out until I played it and realised it was an utter mess. But there you go, that's a story for another time. So that's them, all built and assembled. And the first undercoat colour up is going to be the red primer from Halfords. Now this is a car primer, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It takes the plastic miniatures very well, and it looks well in my opinion. It's also extremely affordable at £8 a can, that's about $10, compared to what you're going to pay for a gaming product. The next primer is going to be grey primer, again from Halfords. It's an auto company in the UK. I'm sure the Americans have an equivalent. There's also a company called High Coat that make a really nice primer colour in all the main colours: white, grey, black, red, you name it. And you don't need to pay over the odds for it. Next up is going to be an old can of GW black undercoat. I inherited this can of paint. I wouldn't have bought it. It was robbery back then, and it's even more robbery now as far as I'm concerned. It's just black spray. Don't let the pro painters tell you otherwise. High Coat satin black is just as good, if not better. Don't get me wrong, the Army Painter and Games Workshop spray cans do have their uses. If you want to paint a Blood Angel army, go and buy a can of Blood Angel Red, a Space Wolf army, Space Wolf Grey, and so on. They have their uses, but they are very expensive, and for basic priming of models, just use car spray, but be choosy which ones you buy. You'll see here I've sprayed one white, using white primer from Halfords. You can see here I've given them all a zenithal coating with the white spray, spraying down from top. And you can see the colour that it's left behind. We'll see if that makes any difference on the finished models. It probably will, but the question is it any better than standard white? And it does take more time, it does cost more money because you're using more spray paint. So we'll see whether or not I feel that it's worth it, whether you feel it's worth it as well. And so it begins. I start painting the first skeletons I have painted in 20 years plus. Going to use plenty of this Pallid Bone. Just going to give the skeletons a healthy coating, all four of them. This paint acts kind of like a wash, but it's more controllable. It does pull in the recesses, and we'll see what it looks like when it's done over the four different undercoats. Two down, two to go. The paint goes on really well, really nicely. Could even have used a bigger brush, to be honest, for this part of the painting. Now, I'm well aware that I could highlight these models. I could get a bleached bone and an off-white, and I could dry brush, and I could pick out individual bones. I'm not going to do that. These are rank and file, and I'm going to be painting an awful lot of them. Being somewhat of a traditionalist, I'm going to stick to a red colour for the spears. I'm going to change my shield colour though. I do like the bluish, tealish, aqua type colour that GW have used in their photographs, but every man and his sister is going to be painting that colour, so I'm going to choose something slightly different. Different doesn't mean better, it's just different. Just take your time here when painting these spears. Awkward parts are around the arm, around the insides of the arms, obviously. Try not to hit the skeleton. If you do, it's not the end of the world. We'll just pull the white paint out and the Pallid Bone again and repair our mistakes. However, there should be enough room for, if you're careful, that you won't make any mistakes here. Now they are Tomb Kings and they are bathed in gold. Rich guys at the end of the day. I don't know where they spend all their gold, but they've got plenty of it. But I'm going to stick to silver here for the spear tips. I think you can go overboard with the gold, so I choose to be slightly different here as well. Will it work? I don't know. You can tell me at the end. There is one of these skeleton models has a small chest plate and a back plate. Take your time, it's not hard to paint. Next up, I'm going to add a bit of colour to the bases just because big white bases are annoying me. So I'm going to get them their first coat of paint on and get that out of the way. This colour is very dark, too dark for my liking, but as the bases are going to be covered in stuff anyway and I'll repaint around the edges, it won't make a difference. I suggest if you're doing these you choose a lighter brown. Well, that's the first colour on the bases, sorted. Going to use Ruddy Fur here. This seems to be my go-to brown in the Army Painter speed paints. I use it for everything. I'm going to use it for the leather work around the skeleton that's wearing the armor plates. I'm also going to use it for the strapping at the top of one of the spears. And as long as you're careful, it's a simple task. And now I'm going to make a start on the shields. I'm going to use Hoplite Gold for around the edges. And I'm going to do something quite controversial here. I've already undercoated the shields that are on the, while they're on the sprue. I'm going to paint them while they're on the sprue. I'm going to hear people going wee in the background about pieces of plastic and oh, you can't do that, you can do it. And I choose to do it, and it makes things a lot easier and a lot quicker. You're not fumbling around trying to hold a tiny shield. It's on the sprue. Snip, snip, and it's off, and a bit of paint, and it's touched up, and the only people who are going to notice are people you don't care about anyway. So this is how I choose to do it. live with it. Algae Green for the shields. This is a colour I haven't used yet. Came in my Mega Paint set. We'll see what it looks like. Hopefully it looks nice. I'm choosing green shields for my Tomb Kings. Feel free to leave a comment in the comment section calling me a Philistine, saying my shields look crap, saying you like them on the off chance that that happens. I am going to mix more than one green here. It's not just going to be one colour. Now to throw a little bit of Ghillie Green into the mix. See if that makes any difference. That's then pretty much done as far as I'm concerned. I'm going to try and work on the bases a little bit here. I'll probably do a bit more to these once I've got a whole bunch of them completed. I might go back and do a bit of dry brushing. I'll probably work on the bases a bit more. But until then, I'm going to be satisfied with them the way they are. You'll see the finished product in a minute or two, and you can tell me what you think in the comments section. I've got a thick skin, so knock yourselves out. Just simple PVA glue and a basing material of your choice. This just happens to be what I had lying about. The sand I've used is too coarse with hindsight. I'll probably change that for the next lot. Personally, I can't see a big enough difference in the different undercoats to justify the extra time and cost. You tell me what you think in the comments section. And with that, the job is done. You can tell me what you think in the comments section. And if you wouldn't mind clicking the subscribe button, clicking the like button, or the dislike button. Click the bell icon, because I'm going to be putting up a whole lot more videos for the Tomb Kings and the Old World. Thank you for watching.